Hello and welcome to the Bike Lane. This, unfortunately, is our second last edition of the season, but hopefully there's more to come. I'm Matt Keenan, joined by Olympic Games gold medalist Scott McGrory and the freshly shaven Wade Wallace. We'll get to Movember in a minute. Big show ahead.
Well, I went to actually ask your questions to Darryl Impey. We spoke to Simon Gerrans a few weeks ago, yellow jersey from the Tour, and we got his teammate Darryl Impey, but I didn't get to ask them, but you'll see what happened. Another
team under the microscope as well.
Drapac Professional Cycling. We're going to analyse their new, upgraded, refreshed team for the Pro Continental season coming up for them.
We've also got the inside line courtesy of Scott Bikes, where Robbie McEwen teaches us how to corner. And Koen de Kort has a go at the time of Scott McGrory on the Hotlap. Plus, we have the health.com.au healthy living tips, and we take a look at heat and its impact on training outcomes. But Wade, first Movember, we've got our lips back, but the money raised is extraordinary.
Yeah, that's what it was all about, wasn't it? To create awareness and to raise money for men's health causes. So we raised in our network over almost $100,000, and the Mobart Mobros raised about half of that. So brilliant. Fantastic job, guys.
Well done. And globally, $102 million raised from something that started 12 years ago on Brunswick Street, Melbourne. Extraordinary performance. Now, for quickly, what's on your mind, courtesy of a different Ben, Masters Racing. And you've just come back from Bright, the Tour of Bright.
The Tour of Bright, yeah.
I know your view. Scott thinks he's the master as Olympic Games gold medalist. That's what a master is. You think they're veterans.
They are veterans. They're not masters. They're not masters of anything. They're very good at what they do, but they're not the best at it. They're called veterans. That's what they should be.
Wade.
I tell you, riding up Hotham this past weekend in Toowoomba, they maybe not masters the best at what they do, but they're phenomenal. The depth was absolutely outstanding in my world, right? but seriously, like every other year, the selection up to a lot of the final climbs and stuff, they'd be made at a certain point, and I could usually sort of hang in there and see who's there, and there might be 8 to 10 guys. This year there'd be 40. Right? The depth is just phenomenal.
You told me the other week about altitude tents being used by guys racing in there.
Veterans.
Veterans, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people taking it seriously, and I do love the competitiveness this brings out in people. It's that one race a year that everyone gets, really, really motivated for.
That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm good with guys wanting to be and girls being as competitive as they want to be. But the altitude tents, having a world championship. World Masters Championship.
I don't believe in world titles for veterans.
That's for me is just silly.
Masters.
It's for the elite categories, it's for the junior categories coming through. Once you get beyond that, then you start riding Elite B and C. Raise the age of the Masters to 40. Has to be minimum 40.
I want the age raised to 40 because I'm not 40 yet, and I don't want to be referred to as a master or a veteran.
I think the best way to do it, was, people put it to me, was kids, no kids categories, and that sort of levels it out, because I don't think the age means that much of a difference. 45-year-olds, 45-year-olds were in blowing people away this weekend. Yeah. But the time amount of training.
But that would make Jens Voigt like a Masters 6.
Yeah.
So that's 6 kids.
God forbid Jens Voigt race Masters against us.
So the Masters is really competitive. It is actually great for the sport because it rolls things up and introduces, hopefully, their kids to the sport. So we go and catch up with Darryl Impey, who answers your questions.
Okay, Darryl, a few questions for you, mate. Tell us about Impey Friday.
Impey Friday was just a day. Guys dedicated it to me in South Africa. It's not a national holiday, let's get that straight. But it's a day where guys all wore the yellow jersey and played that song Impey on the radio all day, and just to show a bit of support from South Africa.
Well, talking about that song Impey, is it true it went back into the charts around the time you were in yellow, mate?
Number one. It's number one, yeah.
Yeah, any kickbacks from that or what?
It's in the pipelines, but I think I'll get about 10 cents a hit. So yeah, I'll probably stop cycling after this year.
What does it feel like to be an honorary Aussie?
Great. I think it's been awesome to come back to Australia and feel a part of it, and don't get looked at twice when I speak my half Aussie, half South African. So yeah, it feels good.
What's your favourite food to eat on training rides?
Prefer not to eat, Dan, on training rides. Eating is cheating. Got to try and get, skinny out there. So, I want to be a bit of a froome wannabe. So, I think less I eat, more I chuck my guts, and the better I'll go.
Is the Robbie McEwen chamois cream one of the best you've ever used?
I think if you don't think of it in that way, about Robbie just going downstairs, then it's probably a good cream to use, but yeah, try and not think about Robbie when I'm putting it on.
What's your favourite guilty pleasure when the dietitian isn't watching?
We don't have a dietitian, so don't really know.
So it's not guilty, it's just pleasure.
No, it's not. It's all pleasure. Just going out there for the pleasure. To
become the first South African to wear yellow must have ticked a huge box on your cycling bucket list. What is next on your list?
Stage win, an individual stage win would be great. I think the only way to kind of beat, well, you can't beat wearing the yellow jersey, but other than winning the Tour, but that's really out of my grasp, out of my reach at the moment. But yeah, it'd be great to win a stage, and in the way that we're in better fashion than we won this year.
Okay, this is a hard-hitting one. Will you name your next child Simon or Simone?
Maybe Simone. That'd be a good one, I think, because
South African twist.
But it's got an Italian twist too, so like a European vibe as well, because it'll probably be conceived in Europe. So that way, and if it's boy or girls, can kind of swing both ways.
Okay, what's your best Tour de France 2013 memory? Yellow jersey, time trial win, bus wedge, or something else?
I'd have to say the time trial win. Well, yellow jersey is obviously a great moment, but the way that we all kind of regrouped there on the stage, and it was most guys' first stage victory at the Tour de France, was just massive to feel that as a unit, and all the hard work paying off from before, and kind of to be on the good side of such a small winning margin.
What did it take for you to make the breakthrough into Europe? So few South African pros have been able to do it.
I think determination's been the biggest one. To kind of push through all the things that have been against me, against South Africans. The visa issues, the crossing barriers, the language barriers. I think it's just my pure determination that's got me there to kind of keep pushing when everything's been against me, and to just believe in yourself that you can do it.
Apart from being a ripping bloke, I added that bit. Yeah. What are your biggest strengths on the race bike in your view?
I think to get over something that's quite hard, where a lot of guys don't expect me to make it over, say a 4 or 5k berg near the end, and then finish off the sprint. But yeah, that's kind of the races I enjoy, a lumpy circuit, hard man's race, and so I think just keep pushing on from there.
Does yellow make the hills less steep?
No, the jersey's heavier. It makes things harder because everyone's watching you, but you feel like on cloud 9 out there. Has business at your old man's bike shop increased since the Tour de France? I think popularity of his bike shop's increased. We haven't looked at the sales yet, but no, he's done pretty well over the Tour de France time. A lot of people coming in to congratulate him and stuff. So yeah, it was nice to get him a little bit in the limelight as well, because he's played such a big part in my career. So for people and that to come past his shop and congratulate him, and I think he was just super proud. So who does the best interviews, Scotty McGrory or Matthew Keenan? I haven't been interviewed by any of them, Dan. It's you that's doing the interview, but so far you've outdone them by millions. I think I should have you on the show every week. I think the viewership will go up. I think this is a career that you can start thinking about. No more videos for Orica Green Edge. This is your new forte, mate.
Yeah, I'm choking up a bit there. Final question, are you the secret pro?
No, but I think I know who it is. He could be a Dutchman. I think he's a Dutchman with long hair. Thinks he's Aussie.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay, we'll leave the boys with that one.
Yeah.
We tried to get Scott McGrory to ask Darryl Impey your questions, but he failed. What happened? Dan Jones stole the microphone.
Well, I went through the right sources. I went through the right channels at Orica Green Edge. Went to Dan Jones. He does all the the videos. We had him on last week. Asked him if he could set it up for me. Yep, no problem. So I sent him through the questions and made sure he got a look at those. And Dan just went and did it himself.
Stole your thunder.
Stole your thunder. Well, a man who has stolen your thunder in the past is Robbie McEwen. And we caught up with Robbie McEwen out at the course we used for the Hotlap, and he's taken us on the inside line courtesy of Scott Bikes to teach us all how to corner a little bit quicker. Welcome to the Inside Line, brought to you by Scott Bikes, and we're with Robbie McEwen, who's on as Scott. Robbie, it's criterium season. You're going to teach us how to corner. What are the key do's and don'ts?
Well, I'm just here to give a few tips about, the best things you can do in a crit. It's not always about taking the absolute fastest line. Sometimes it's just about conserving energy, holding that cornering speed. Cornering's about confidence. If you want to be confident, you've got to get out, you've got to do it, you've got to push yourself. And to be honest, if you never have a touchdown, you're not trying hard enough.
So you've got to crash at some point. Bad news. You took up racing at 8 on BMX, so you've got that advantage of growing into it. But even if you've started at 40, you can still learn to improve how to corner.
Well, you can always improve, and you're just little drills and little techniques that you can make yourself do and just think about. And when you start doing them often, it becomes second nature. You've got to approach the corner with confidence. You've got to know you're taking the right line. Come out and just practice it. Come out on your own. Come out to a corner like this down at Kew Boulevard and just go through it time and time again. Follow the little tips, centre of gravity low, get the right apex, eyes up the road, and just keep doing those things and build your confidence.
Let's go follow the master. Robbie, take us on the inside line.
Let's go. Cornering's all about speed and momentum. Don't sit up too high going through the corner. You'll be off balance, makes you slow. What you do want to do is get your centre of gravity down low. It's like an F1 car. They corner so fast because they're low to the ground. Get it down low, you'll be much faster. Have a good look at the corner, know what it's going to do. Don't take the wrong line. You come in too tight early, slow yourself down, you're going to lose the wheel. So when you do get the corners figured out, you're taking the right line, you're holding cornering speed, you're in the wheel with no trouble coming out of it, you're ready to attack. Important thing about corner is putting it all together. Your entry point, the line, the braking point, apex, eyes up the road. Never focus on where you are, but where you're going.
Well, thanks to Robbie, and hopefully with that information, you'll all be able to go around those corners just a little bit quicker in the criteriums. One team who's hoping to go a bit quicker in 2014 is the Drapac squad, and they've upped the ante. Let's catch up with a couple of the key members of the team. In season 2014, Australia will have a second team towards the top tier of the sport in the Pro Continental division with the Drapac squad, and I'm joined by the team manager, Jonathan Breekveldt. Jonathan, big step up for the squad. We see the glamour of the sport, the guys winning. You get to do the paperwork. How much was involved in going from Continental to Pro Continental?
Oh, plenty. It was more involved. I mean, the jump is bigger from where we've been to where we're going versus from Pro Conti to World Tour. I think we're significantly closer to that sort of league now than what we were in the past.
What's the budget jump?
300%.
300. I'd be happy with a pay rise of that in my salary.
Yeah.
You've got a pretty big program in store for the season. Tour of California, I believe, is on the list.
Yeah, we're still in the process of locking it down, but yeah, it's coming up pretty nicely. We've got some good stuff in Asia, obviously a tour down under, which is one of the probably the biggest scalps for us, and then Cali to represent Michael's business in America. So
I know that Michael Drapac has been pestering the tour down under for almost 10 years. How's his relationship with Mike Turda?
I'm not sure. I'm sure Michael's very happy to receive the invitation, but yeah, I'm sure the relationship's a little bit better now.
I'm sure Michael Drapac at least is pretty pleased with it. What's your role in terms of that decision on recruiting riders? Because that's been key for the squad.
The recruitment's a bit of a round table. So we obviously involved the directors, Agostino, Henk Vogels, Keith Flory, Michael Drapac, and then just some other advisors. So it is a bit of a round table. There is some commercial stuff that goes with it, but it's we usually get buy-off from the entire group before we move forward. We have a very unique selection process compared to a normal team, I think.
Who's the rider you're most excited about?
I think Travis
Meyer.
Yep.
Back in the team too.
Yeah,
started there.
Yep, from 2007. So I'm excited to see him. He's motivated. He's started earlier than normal. He's got some unfinished business. He's still young. Yeah.
And one of your recruits is Jonathan Cantwell, who comes across from Saxo Tinkoff. He's bringing the bike supplier with him as well. That's an interesting decision for the team and for Jonathan.
Yeah, it's interesting. It just all sort of fell into place. We were talking to Johnny before, and then we started talking to Swift Carbon, and then the two sort of came together, so it gives us a nice tie. But yeah, having Johnny on the team is a big plus for us.
So the paperwork is done. Jonathan Cantwell is one of the recruits, key sprinter for the squad, and Scott McGrory is with him.
Well, after 2 years at Saxo Bank, Tinkoff, Jono Cantwell, bit of a change in scenes for you coming to the Drapac team. So just explain a little bit, I guess, about how that came about.
Yeah, Scotty, basically had a really good opportunity with the Drapac group and the professional cycling team to join them on a multi-year deal, which, you know, in the cycling industry at the moment, especially coming from Europe, has been, you know, one not to take for granted. So, yeah, basically really happy to be joining the team. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that I've been racing with before, like Bernie Sulzberger, and also having the direction of Henk Vogels is something that, you know, I'm really excited about, and to continue on the really good relationship. And, yeah, it's just really funny how it all came about throughout the season. We got involved with a company called Swift Carbon, which they manufacture bikes, and you know, tying in a little bit of a deal with Swift Carbon and Drapac, which they'll be riding for the next 3 years, has been a really exciting business opportunity for myself. So you know, there's a lot of guys that are out there that are, you know, don't have jobs at the moment for next year, and then don't also think about the following years, setting themselves up financially and business-wise. So really fortunate in the position I'm in right now.
It's not all about the bikes and the importation. You still want to race bikes, and you'll be doing that for Drapac. You know, how do you think you'll be able to balance that in the future?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You know, micromanagement and time management is what it's going to come down to. But, you know, my number one priority at the moment is definitely to race bikes. Like, I've still got plenty of years left in me, and hopefully the best years are yet to come. So, you know, my race program for January and February and March are flat out. So, yeah, just having the right staff under me is going to be really, really key as well. But the face with me and, you know, riding around the world hopefully is a good launch to get the brand off the ground.
Must have been a tough decision regardless, though, to step back from Europe and come to Australia.
Yeah, it was. You know, I just had my second child now, so I've got a little girl who's 3 months old and a little boy who's 2.5. So I think your priorities sort of change a little bit as well. You start thinking ahead and you start wanting to sort of set up a bit of a foundation, you know, for the future. So with an opportunity with Drapac and then Swift, it was probably something that I couldn't pass up. So yeah, I'm gonna miss Europe for sure. I'm gonna miss the races. I'm gonna miss living in Monaco and all the rest of the stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do.
But no regrets then?
Not at the moment.
Well, good luck for the next couple of years in both forms. New businessman yourself, and also with the team trying to get some wins. You're the sprinter for the team now, so a bit of pressure on your shoulders with the Drapac guys.
Yeah, I think these guys are cut out. Like, you know, Hank Vogels and Jonathan Breekveldt have really, you know, lined up a really strong team to help me out. And then there's some guys that are going to be great opportunists to win stages and races themselves. But I think with the lineup, we're going to be a huge threat to Green Edge going into you know, nationals and then also down under. So, you know, fingers crossed, we're going to be off to a running start.
Oh, good luck to Jono and the entire Drapac team, of course. Going to be racing pretty hard the next couple of years for himself and the team, and then of course also looking for the future with the business. That's great.
Thanks, Cody.
Well, Jonathan Cantwell's an important recruit to the team to try and win races because he's fast. But let's just choose 2 other riders, each from the team, to talk about. You go first.
Wes Salzberger, coming back from Orica Green Edge. He was first year at Green Edge, not so great. This year he was actually okay. He was coming back, but I think they'd already made their decision last year to get rid of him, so that's unfortunate for him. So I think he'll play a very key role. And look out for Lockie Norris. He'll go well, former mountain biker.
I think Wes is the best recruit.
My 2 guys I'm going to be watching, Darren Lapthorne, number 1. I love Darren. Darren's
the world's
such
nicest
a nice
guy.
He is such a nice guy. And it doesn't mean nice guys can't be competitive, obviously. I think he's...
Strange champion.
Yeah, watching him in 2007, I just had goosebumps when he crossed that line, watching him see him be the national champion. And unfortunately, his career's been derailed a few times, but he's back, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with this.
I'll agree with you. He is an incredible guy. He's one of the nicest people you could ever meet. He needs a little bit more mongrel in him. If he wants to win races, he has to really want to do it a bit more. That's the only chink in his armour.
Well, Tom Palmer, I don't know him personally, but he's a winning sprinter, isn't he? He's phenomenal, and seeing him beat Pro Tour guys when he was probably 20 years old and where he is now, I think he's got a lot of promise ahead of him.
Superfast junior, world junior kilometre champion, 101 second.
Yeah, his challenge is distance. I'm going to pick a couple of controversial recruits. Ben Johnson, he's ridden with teams like Cofidis, Agritourbal. He's a good bike rider, but he's been retired for 4 years. I think it was a big risk. Nice guy, really talented, big risk, 31 years of age. Let's see what happens. And the Dutchman, Wouter Whippet. He was 7th or 6th in under-23 world titles and 9th the under-23 world titles. The Lotto team tried him out for a few months. I think that's another big risk as well. I would have preferred to see some other riders on the squad. Alan Davis is still looking for a contract. So let's see how they go. Good luck to the Drapac team in 2014. Let's see how they go training the heats as Scott McGrory catches up with Justin Cordy from the Western Bulldogs for the health.com.au healthy living tip, and heat is the topic.
Okay, Justin, look, it's not that new, but there's a lot more research being done on it, and that's heat training. Can you explain why you should do heat training and how it can be effective for a cyclist?
Yeah, look, heat's been around for a number of years now, as everyone's aware. I mean, they've probably got the old football coach when they were young. We're going to train today, we're going to train in the heat. You're not going to drink, we're going to work hard for the next 60 minutes, and everyone sort of finishes the session exhausted. Probably over the last few years, there's been a little bit of a trend in sport maybe to move away from it. And I know for the viewers at home in terms of cycling, generally as a rule of thumb, you're out early or that sort of stuff, or you're back before 10 o'clock, before traffic builds and things like that. really with heat, there's been some research now that's sort of been coming out of Europe, and particularly with the Middle East, the countries over there that tend to be a little bit hotter through that summer period. There's some really good gains for both the elite sports people, but also the weekend warrior, if you will, or people that are really keen about their cycling. They're looking for improvements, and they just don't know how to go about getting that, that next 3, 4, 5% out of their cycling. So yeah, there's certainly some good benefits out there for the general consumer in terms of cycling.
Okay, so let's break it down. We talk about heat training. How can you do it? So if you're not waiting for a hot day to go for a ride, how would you do it? So indoors in a heated room or on an ergo, what would it be? Yeah, look, ideally in terms of training indoors with an ergo, the room needs to be about 35 degrees. So you need to certainly get some heat in that. So, in terms of that, if you've got a small space, a couple of small heaters will be sufficient. Radiant heat will also add to that. Humidity is important, so generally once you get those heaters going, you also want a bit of humidity. So if you're training hard, you're going to produce some sweat, which enables that to occur. So that's certainly one way to do it. The other way to do it is look for the Melbourne weather map and see what's happening in relation to that. At the moment, you wouldn't get too much joy. It comes and goes, but ideally you're looking for, again, that 35-degree temperature and prolonged periods out there. Obviously, we know with heat, obviously dehydration becomes a factor, so you need to make some allowances for that with your hydration process, what you're taking on board in terms of electrolytes and things like that. But at the same time, look, heat's potentially going to give you, from an aerobic point of view, anywhere between sort of a 4 and 5% increase over a 10-day period. So it's also when you can use heat in terms of your training program as well. Well, that is a significant increase in performance and quite sudden as well.
Yep.
It's not just for hot days though, is it? You don't have to just do heat training to prepare for hot training or hot racing. You can also use it when it's in cold climates.
No, and that's a really good point you make. In terms of training for the heat, a lot of people have that thought, well, I train for the heat to prepare for the heat and I've got to race in the heat. Yes, you do get benefits from that. Yes, we know there's a cutaneous effect on the skin. Yes, we know you're gonna sweat more easily. Yes, we know you've got a performance gain. But the other thing that's quite interesting, there was a study done 2 years ago, and they also got the athletes to compete in a cold environment, and what they found was, again, it wasn't quite the same benefits. It was about more that 5%, but there were still some performance gains that did occur in the cold, and a lot of that's obviously occurring through what the heat actually stimulates in your body and what it promotes in your body. And again, probably the thing that I like to reinforce is you can actually train for a short period of time in the heat, and you can get the benefits almost immediately. So it can almost be a 24-hour effect associated with training in the heat.
So Justin Cordy talking about heat. We're recording this on Monday in Melbourne where it's 36 degrees. It airs on Thursday. It might be 16, but keep it all in mind when you go out training. Next up, Scott McGrory gets nervous because Koen de Kort is on the Hotlap. We're back out at the Hotlap and Wade Wallace has pulled out all stops to beat Scott McGrory. Good job, Wade. You've got Koen on board.
You better deliver, Koen.
Well, I'm going to try. It's very windy, I think my tyres are a bit soft.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
1:18 is the time to beat.
Yeah.
He's quick.
It is quick. I don't really notice lap. I just did one recon lap and...
That's all you need, mate. You don't need any more than that. One will do. Yeah.
One will do. Yeah. So take the outside corners everywhere, right?
Yeah. Outside line. Truly, it is faster. More traction on the outside line.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Your job as the lead out man, we don't want you swinging up with 200 to go.
Yeah, I was actually contemplating that. I think the last 200 are the hardest, so actually I would want to swing off. But I guess I'll keep going to the line this time.
Okay, prologue at the Tour de France, Hotlap.
This is definitely more prestigious, obviously.
It's up there. Yeah. Okay, Koen is ready to go. It's the countdown to beat you.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
So, Koen beat Scott McGrory on 5, 4,
3,
2, 1, go!
Go, Koen. Sorry, guys, I just could not be involved in that countdown. I don't want him out there at all.
He's taking your line. He's taking your line, Scott.
He's the first one that is, followed my line there.
Did you see how quick the foot was in?
Foot was in, cadence fast, right gear.
Yeah, and you couldn't hear any clunking. It was all smooth. He's looking very good, Scott.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Thanks. Really he's had a great season. He's done a fantastic job. His role at piloting that lead out at Argos Shimano is critical. It's a really young team. And you go to the Tour, they're the youngest on average, are about 25.
I got to admit, when we interviewed Koen before the Tour de France and we asked him how are they going to do something different to actually beat Cavendish in that lead out, I wasn't quite sure they were, going
convinced.
to, right? Yeah. No, but they did.
And for the first time, Cavendish was beaten on the Champs-Élysées, and maybe for the first time, Scott McGrory will be beaten on the pavé of Q Boulevard.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
What's a minute? He needs to be getting around that corner really quickly.
Oh, he'll be coming pretty quick.
Snelle jongen, Hotverdomme. Where is Koen de Kort?
He broke his collarbone 2 months ago, so let's make sure he did get round that bottom corner.
Collarbone on the
Here he comes. It will be tight. I don't think he's going to get the time of Scott McGrory. Koen, we need you, Koen. Snelle jongen.
Come on!
And the time for Koen de Kort, it might well be a comeback for Scott McGrory. Koen, the bad news is we might be starting a hashtag, comeback Scott McGrory.
I reckon.
He did 118. How do you think you went? There's a little bit of Michael Jordan in your number, I'm afraid to tell you. 123 flat.
All right.
Does it say more about him or more about you?
Bit of both, I'd say.
Bit of both. He'd be handy in your lead out.
Yes, definitely.
You know the problem?
The 200 kilometres before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Koen, before you leave to go back to Europe, we're going to have to get you back, and we'll do a few more recons.
Yeah.
We need someone to beat Scott McGrory.
I'll be back and I'll be...
This
Good.
is your training plan
Yeah.
this summer.
And you've got to
This
help
is what
us.
it's about.
We're lobbying Greg Henderson as well. So it'll be the race of the lead out. So Koen wasn't able to beat Scott McGrory, who's on the verge now of a comeback. And Greg Henderson, keep training. We need you. Well, Wade, Koen de Kort has let us down.
I know, and you get that smile off your face. I can't believe you didn't knock it off your perch.
Still up there on the top.
Yeah, it's that bronze medal from the Olympics in '88.
That's it.
It was the East Germans and the Russians who beat you, so I think it's a pretty good bronze medal.
Hey, I'm
I ain't saying anything.
But we do have Robbie McEwen next week, so I'm starting to get very nervous just thinking about him coming around.
And just to send you a message, Robbie has put the chamois cream on the table to try and just keep you on edge and keep you on your toes.
Is he retired?
Not as retired as you.
Exactly. Well, let's see what he does next week.
Okay, so thanks to Northside Wheelers as always for hosting us, Country Road for dressing us, and you for Movember. What an outstanding result, Wade. Almost $100,000. Next year we'll raise the bat, and next week we'll be back with Robbie McEwen trying to beat Scott McGrory.